You know, Damon Dash, a huge name in music, obviously, and filmmaker Josh Weber, they've been clashing legally, it seems like forever. And just recently, a court ordered Dash to pay Weber, get this, $4 million. $4 million
Yeah.
in a defamation lawsuit, no less.
Yeah, it's like, wow, $4 million. That's not chump change. But the thing is, it didn't just come out of nowhere.
Right.
This is like the latest explosion from this relationship that just completely went sour.
Yeah.
And it really makes you think about how much these creative projects can get all tangled up with legal battles. And the money. Oh, the money can be a huge problem.
Well, let's talk about this lawsuit, right? This $4 million judgment. This stems from stuff Dame Dash was saying back in 2024 in the Earn Your Leisure podcast.
Right.
So for people who didn't catch that, what did he say that got him in so much trouble?
Basically, Dash used the podcast, pretty big platform, to just straight up accuse Josh Weber of stealing from him.
Oh, wow.
And he was tying these accusations to their work on that 2019 film, Dear Frank. His whole thing was that Weber had somehow defrauded him during the making of the movie.
Okay.
But legally, for something to count as defamation, it's got to be a false statement presented as fact, and it has to damage someone's reputation. It can't just be like, oh, you're a jerk.
Gotcha. So it has to be provable, I guess, right? It can't just be like your opinion or something.
Right, exactly.
So Weber is saying that these podcast comments, which a lot of people heard, they really messed with his ability to get work. And he even put a dollar amount on that. $4 million in lost opportunities.
Yeah. He basically said, look, because of what Dash said on this podcast, people in the film industry, they don't want to work with me. They think I'm shady. And that's cost me about $4 million worth of gigs.
Yeah.
That's his claim.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Like people, if they think you're a thief, they're not going to want to work with you. So this whole thing, though, these accusations, it's not like this was the first time, right? Like they've been fighting for a while. What was that earlier lawsuit about?
Oh, yeah. They had a whole legal battle before this podcast even happened.
Right.
And in that earlier case, the court actually ordered Dash to pay Weber almost $1 million.
Wow.
For copyright infringement.
Yeah.
Basically using someone else's work without permission. And you know what? For defamation, too.
So this is kind of a pattern.
It's a pattern. And all this bad blood, it all comes back to Dear Frank. So even before Dash went on that podcast, a court had already said, hey, you made defamatory statements about Weber related to this movie.
It all goes back to that. Let's rewind even further.
Okay.
How did Dash get involved with Dear Frank to begin with? And then what happened? Why'd he leave the project?
So back in 2016, Dash was supposed to direct Dear Frank.
Yeah.
But things went south, Weber and the production company, Muddy Water Pictures, they had some serious issues with how Dash was acting on set. They claimed he was frequently under the influence, and that this was happening while they were trying to film.
Oh, no.
At his place in Sherman Oaks, by the way. So they said basically that his behavior was making it impossible to do their jobs and finish the movie.
So they cut him loose.
Basically, yeah. They decided to just finish the movie on their own.
Without him.
Without him. But that wasn't the end of it, right? In 2019, Weber and Muddy Water Pictures, they filed a lawsuit against Dash. And this one's really interesting.
Okay, so what were they saying in this lawsuit?
They said that even after being kicked off the project, Dash was trying to act like Dear Frank was his movie. Like, he was sending out these promotional materials to networks like BET.
Huh.
But he changed the title to The List. They felt like he was trying to steal their work,
Oh, wow.
pass it off as his own.
Yeah.
And maybe even, make money off of it.
Yeah. That's like copyright infringement. Really.
Exactly.
Big time.
Big time. And they saw it as him trying to, damage their reputations even more by saying he was the real creator of the film.
I mean, did Dash have any response to this? Like, what was his side of the story?
Yeah. So Dash's argument was that, look, they used his stuff, his property, his equipment, to shoot the movie. And then they just took the footage and finished it without giving him credit or, more importantly, any money.
Wow. So it's like two totally opposite stories.
Completely opposite. It just shows you how quickly things can go wrong when people work together, especially when it comes to creative stuff. Like if you don't have clear agreements and things go bad, it can get very, very messy.
Yeah, very messy and expensive, it seems, especially for Dash, because this isn't his only money problem, right?
No, not at all. He's been dealing with a lot of debt,
Yeah.
unpaid taxes, a bunch of child support payments. And, I think a lot of people were surprised when they heard that his share of roc-a-fella, that 1/3 stake, was auctioned off.
Yeah,
That's a big deal considering he was one of the founders.
absolutely.
So you'd think, right, that selling off something that valuable would help him clear up some of his debts, like that $1 million he owed to Weber.
You would think so, yeah.
But apparently it didn't quite work out that way.
It didn't.
No.
Why not?
It sounds like Dash owes money to so many people.
Oh, wow.
It's spread out everywhere,
Yeah.
So even after selling his part of roc-a-fella, Weber, and I'm sure others, didn't get paid what they were owed.
So Weber's still out $1 million, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which brings us to, what he did next to try and get his money.
Yeah, because he didn't just give up. What did he do?
He didn't give up. He filed a request to get a hold of Dash's ownership documents for his company, Poppington LLC, and, any copyrights to his movies.
So I guess the idea there is like, if you can't get the money directly, maybe you can take some of his assets.
Exactly.
Sell them off.
Like, seize those assets, sell them off, and use that to pay off the debt.
Okay.
It shows, he's serious about getting what the court said he deserves.
Yeah, for sure. But that wasn't the only thing, right? Like, he didn't stop there.
Oh, no. This is where it gets, a little bit wild.
Okay, tell me more.
His legal team went after Dame Dash's engagement ring.
Oh, wow, really?
They filed to have it auctioned off.
I mean, that's got to be kind of embarrassing, right? Like, having your engagement ring taken and sold?
I would imagine so, yeah. It shows how determined Weber is to get that money.
Yeah.
And maybe, a little bit frustrated that it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
It's not every day you see someone go after an engagement ring to settle a debt.
No, not at all. So through all this, with all this going on, the lawsuits, the debts, has Dash said anything? Like, especially about this $4 million judgment?
So far, nothing. No public statement, no response. We don't know if he's going to fight it in court or try to explain himself. But yeah, he's been pretty quiet. Which is, kind of surprising given how much money's involved and how public all these accusations have been.
Yeah, it is surprising. I mean, so I guess big picture, this doesn't look good for Dash.
Right.
I mean, he's got to pay Weber a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's all because of this whole mess with Dear Frank.
Great. It started with that movie and it just keeps getting worse.
Like, this isn't just one mistake. It's like a whole chain reaction. Accusations about his behavior on set, then the copyright fight, defamation lawsuits, now this podcast thing. It all goes back to that first clash during the making of Dear Frank.
It shows you how important it is to be professional, especially when you're working with other people.
Yeah.
And to have clear agreements. Because if you don't and things go south, it can cost you big time. Not just money, but your reputation too.
So we've gone through all this whole saga with Dash and Weber. It really makes you think about the music and film industries, creative control, money, and especially what you say, how much words can matter. What do you think people should take away from all this?
I think the big takeaway is when you're working on something creative, especially with others, you got to be clear. Clear about expectations, about who owns what, about how you're going to handle disagreements.
Yeah, because if not, you could end up in a situation like this.
Exactly. And we live in a world where everything you say can be recorded and spread around instantly. Podcasts, social media, it's all out there. So think before you speak, because your words can have serious legal consequences, especially in this industry.
That's a good point. Well, that's our deep dive into this situation with Damon Dash and Josh Weber. It's a story that's still unfolding, so we'll have to see what happens next. But for now, I think we can all agree that this is a cautionary tale about the importance of professionalism, clear communication, and being mindful of the power of our words, especially in the entertainment world.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive.
See you then.